Hello and welcome to Ryno's Ravens Review. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, draft in the books. Been a few days. The Ravens did end up drafting 11 players. Not in the exact spot. They did move 3 of those picks in within 2 separate deals, but were able to move 3 of those picks around. 2 back and then 1 up. Very strange. I really didn't think that they would make 11 total picks. I figured that they would package several of those later ones, let's say 2 sixes in the 5th, and try to get up to another pick in the 4th or something, but wasn't the case. If anything, they moved back a little bit more. You can see them on BaltimoreRavens.com. Let's get to this article here written by Matt Ryan, editorial assistant, explaining 2 of the trades. Originally, the Ravens had one of their 4th round picks was 136th, and one of their 6th round picks was 183rd. Now, they traded both of those to Tennessee and got the 141st pick in the 5th round and the 178th pick in the 6th round. Yeah. Honestly, hearing that, the only logical explanation to me is that 4th round pick would have had a price of X, and the 5th round pick would have had a price of X, but that 5th round pick would have been a little cheaper. Because otherwise, do you really care about moving up 2 or 3 spots in the 6th round? Okay. It's an analytical thing, and it's our dudes were going to be in this one spot, and we're projected, or they're projected to to be available around this spot and that spot, and between this spot and that spot, and so we made some trades. Because some nerd numbers told you some stuff. All right, cool. All that over some 6th round draft picks. Why don't you try hitting on your 3rd and your 4th round draft picks before you start giving a shit about your 6th round draft picks? Yeah. The other trade was they traded their 176th pick, which was a 6th round draft pick, and a 6th round pick for 2026 to the Jets for Jets 186th pick, which was a 6th round. So again, trading back a few spots and picking up a 2026 5th round draft pick. So instead of using the picks, all those 6th round draft picks this year to move up in this year's draft, they decide to move up 1 round in next year's draft. Okay. Hey man, whatever. However, man. Okay. This article here written by Clifton Brown, BaltimoreRavens.com staff writer, going over who and what position the Ravens did end up selecting. Malachi Stark, safety, I told you about that one. With their 2nd round pick, they drafted outside linebacker Mike Green. He had, 17 sacks in his most recent college year, so that's a good number. Will that be able to translate to the National Football League? I sure hope so, because I feel really need quality pass rushers. Yes, you can get pressure and sacks with quantity in pressure, but you really need some quality pass rush. 3rd round pick, they went with offensive tackle Emory Jones Jr. I did say that I wanted offensive line help, if anything, just to try to replace McCary, because it doesn't sound like a big loss, but having even if you call him an average offensive lineman that can play every position on the offensive line, that's a huge value, especially in what now is a 17-game season. And there's always going to be talks of increasing that because more money, more games, more money. And that's... Don't need to explain anything further about that. 4th round pick, linebacker. I want to say this is to die. It could be Teddy. It's a weird way to spell Teddy with a Y, then an E. I mean, it's a name. You spell it however you like. To die, Buchanan, linebacker. He's listed as a linebacker, not listed as an edge or outside linebacker. So I'm thinking he's more of a traditional linebacker, as in off the line, chasing down running backs, getting in passing lanes in the middle of the field, which is a point of need since Malik Harrison and Chris Board went elsewhere. The 5th round pick ended up being offensive tackle Carson Vinson. More offensive line help. Can't really argue with that. Excuse me. Their first of 5, that's right, 5 6th-round draft picks. That's a lot. And that's why I kind of thought, well, if you packaged 3 of them up, couldn't you move up a round or 2? I mean, here you go going with quantity over quality. I mean, in theory, some of these 6th-round draft picks, sure, they could pan out better than any of the 4th-round draft picks. You never really know. And I guess that's why Eric DeCosta is thinking, we might as well draft all 5 of these guys and we can just improve them. We can teach them and train them and whatever and make them be as good as a 4th-round draft pick. I guess. I mean, that's... And to a certain extent, with those 5 picks, he ended up taking 2 cornerbacks, which is a spot where you really need depth. And if you can have those guys for the whole year, a full rookie camp and then a full training camp, and then several games during the year, how much better can they fit into your scheme? And then, therefore, much better than going and signing a guy off the street in week 7 and expecting him to be able to actually contribute to your defense. So, yeah, I mean, in theory, it's not terrible. First of those cornerbacks was Bilal, assuming I'm pronouncing some of these names correctly, Cone, Western Michigan cornerback. And yes, here it is, the second of their 6th-round picks, drafting a kicker, Tyler Loop. No, not going to talk about that. Yes, kicker. Yeah, I mean, forget all that other shit. I mean, you look at the performance of Justin Tucker over the year. Yeah, you could see why. At least one reason. At least one. Depending on, your point of view. Why the Ravens would be considering going with another person there. Do have an article to talk a little bit more about Tyler Loop. Another 6th-round pick here. LeJohnate Wester, wide receiver, Colorado. Yeah, I mean, considering that is the only pass catcher, the only skill position that you drafted, I'm okay with that. Hopefully, that man has a bit of return experience because I feel like you could use some of that. As long as you can hang on to the damn ball during punt returns, I don't really care, Put whoever back there. Another 6th-round draft pick, defensive lineman Aeneas Pebbles, probably Pebbles, Virginia Tech. Nice to get need some defensive line help. Michael Pierce, not here with the team anymore. Word is he retired, which seems weird, but perfectly understandable in the game of football. So, yeah, they have had some drafts previous years that would lead you to believe that, let's say, Broderick Washington or Tavius or Tavarius Robinson, and of course re-signing Namdi Matabike before last season. Defensive line is in okay shape, but you know what? You can always improve, especially when some of these guys get real good and then want more money. It becomes a business decision there. And to a certain extent, the Ravens have always had pretty good defensive line drafts. Last 6th-round pick ends up being Robert Longerbeam, cornerback Rutgers. There we go, another cornerback. Sounds like Eric DeCosta, right? I have 5 6th-round draft picks. I'm going to take me 2 cornerbacks. Like standard operating procedure for Eric DeCosta. Ends up with 3 defensive backs in a draft. Because he had 11 picks, I kind of expected him to draft 5 of them. But, oh well. 7th and final pick in the 2025 draft for the Baltimore Ravens, offensive lineman Garrett Dillinger. Got some offensive line help, got some defensive back help. Got a bit of pass rush help, hopefully. We'll just have to see. I mean, you never really know with some of these guys. Typically, 1st-round draft picks, you expect them to be ready to go. This is the picture of Malachi Starks here. What's that school? University of Georgia. Todd Monken coached there a few years ago, right? Yes. Wouldn't be surprised if there's more of those connections in the National Football League. Yeah. All right, let's get to this article here. This is one written by Clifton Brown, BaltimoreRavens.com staff writer, talking a little bit more about Tyler Loop, the kicker the Ravens drafted first. Kicker Ravens drafted. I thought Tucker ended up being drafted, but he wasn't. It was Cook they drafted. Do remember that. They may have drafted Zastadil as well. I could be wrong. Yeah, I really thought that they had drafted a kicker before, but apparently not. Punter, yes. Kicker, no. Not till now. So Mr. Loop supposedly has a very big leg, at least compared to other kickers in the draft. Was able to hit a 62-yard field goal this past college football season. Which, yeah, I mean, you got to work on accuracy, though. To a certain extent, I've always felt like the hash marks in college football ended up being a little wider at some points than the National Football League. So wouldn't that, in my mind anyway, would make kicking a little harder? So would it not be easier to kick in a national football? I mean, yes, the length is to do with that, but if you're, the goalposts are always in the middle. If you're way over on a left hash mark and you're trying to kick to something that's in the middle of the field, you think it'd be easier if you were closer to the middle of the field, right? You have to go find a professional kicker and ask them. And on Ravens drafting supposed heir apparent to Justin Tucker. Yes, Justin Tucker was made aware of that. Of course he was. And to a certain extent, if you've been with an organization as a professional athlete with the same team for 13 years, you got to expect that after year 10, they're going to, at some point or another, bring in young talent, either through a draft or, off the street, just because, hey, you've been here for more than 10 years. Law of probability, the analytical numbers say that, you won't be spending that much more time here. Because that's just the way it goes. Everybody reaches a certain age, and you know what? You're not a professional athlete anymore. You just can't. Your body just can't do it compared to a younger person. Is that something that may have been going on with Justin Tucker? Sure. I mean, it could be. I mean, I don't know how old Justin Tucker is, but off the top of my head, he was probably drafted at either age 22 or 23. He's been here 13 years. That puts him at what? 35, 36? Yeah, I mean, you remember Matt Stover. Matt Stover started getting up there. I mean, accurate as shit, but you know, he just got to a point where he had no distance. It happens. I mean, it happens to everybody. So, it's unrealistic to think that at some point the Ravens were not going to bring in a kicker. Hell, they have. Well, they've had Justin Tucker. So, makes perfect sense to do it with this draft. It really does. But we'll just have to, we'll have to wait to see how things progress to see what actually happens. Do the Ravens actually use their roster spots or practice squad spots to hold on to two place kickers at the same time? Well, they haven't in the past. Anytime they have brought a kicker in, the losing kicker, if you will, ends up getting moved. Would you really draft somebody with the 6th overall pick just to move him later? Well, I mean, to a certain extent, it's fine. I mean, it's a 6th round draft pick. You trade the 6th round draft pick, what exactly do you expect to get for it? Not a whole lot. Maybe a 5th round draft pick next year, because that's what the Ravens were able to get for it. Right? But you draft this kicker. He goes through a bunch of training camps and rookie camps, and maybe a week or two into the season, somebody's kicker goes down. You know what? Hey, we got 2 kickers. You need a kicker? That'd be a 4th round draft pick, please. Could happen. Maybe even better. It could happen. Depends on, what. Depends on who it is that lost the job, or who it is that the Ravens want to deal, whether it is Tucker or it's Loop. Seeing how Tucker is closer to being out the door than just getting here, because he's in his mid-30s. Well, anyway, that's going to do it for this edition. Ryno's Ravens review. Just wrapping up the draft here. Thinking about the schedule of events. We got a long time until training camp. I probably will not do another video until mid-August-ish. Get a few weeks into training camp before there's really much of anything to talk about with football, at least for me anyway. So please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I am the Angry Ryno. Fly Ravens fly.